So we are heading into the last week of August and price has been pushing to the upside on Euro, Gold and GBP. So maybe in the coming week we could have a pullback because all of them has reached a major levels, major supply zones. So let's quickly see in the coming week what to expect. So we are starting with Euro. So if you look at Euro on the daily time frame, you can see that we had this bearish break of structure over here. After that we pull back into the EQ of the level. So if I just take a fib, so you can see that we have reached the EQ of the level. So now if price wants to continue with this bearish momentum, this is the area where price needs to hold and give us a sign that this bullish momentum or the pullback is completed and it wants to go to the downside. So we have this daily supply unmitigated. So maybe we could have one last push into this daily supply and from here we could see price falling to the downside. So over here I would be cautious looking for longs because we are almost at the end of the road and this is the last daily supply that needs to hold if it wants to continue with this bearish momentum to the downside. So on Euro, looking at the daily time frame, this is what I'm thinking, and you can see over here also we have this huge rejection candle from past 2 days. So this could be a small information that we could be slowing down and the pullback could start anytime soon. So if the pullback is starting, I would like to look for shorts pushing price into this daily demand or even into this daily demand, but you can see we have liquidity over here. Maybe price could also come into this area over here. So from here, if price wants to continue to the upside, we'll have signs to the upside, or we can expect price to push to the downside. So what I'm thinking is that since we had this breakout structure over here, price pull back into the EQ of the level. So I'm thinking maybe the pullback is done and we could see price continuing to the downside. So longs for me would be a little more lower probability over here because we're entering into a supply zone area, and I would be favoring shorts coming into this daily supply. So let's see on the H4. So on the H4 you can see this was a swing breakout structure. The internal structure is also bullish, and if you see price is rejecting from this supply over here. So maybe we are having a short pause, so we are in this H4 demand over here. So if we are having one more push, we can expect from this H4 demand itself price to push to the upside into this daily supply, and from here we could have a reaction or even price starting a pullback. So this is one scenario, and if this H4 demand fails, this low fails, we can say that we could be in the pullback phase and we can look for shorts pushing price into this daily demand, or to sweep all this liquidity over here. So on EU, looking at the H4, this is what I'm thinking. We have all this liquidity. So coming over here, I would be more cautious looking for longs. I would be more favoring shorts from here. Maybe if we are having one more push, we can look for longs, but I'm more interested in looking for shorts from this daily supply area, or if we get a break below this level, I'm interested more in shorts. So let's see on the H1. So if you look at the recent price action on the H1, you can see that price swept the high, came back down, so swept the low, pushed back up, swept the high, came back down. It's failing to push to the upside. So it is in this H4 demand. It's look like the H1 demand also failed. Now maybe if price wants to continue to the upside, we will see a push from here. But if we break below this level, maybe we can see a pullback, and looking for shorts would be much better during this scenario. So I am more favoring shorts because we have come into the EQ of the level and price is also rejecting over here, so which is also an indication that this bullish momentum is slowing down and we can see a pullback zone. So this is what I am thinking on EU. So let's see on GU. So looking at the daily time frame on GU, this was the breakup structure. After that we had this internal bearish breakup structures following a bearish order flow. So swept the lows, the internal structure also shifted bullish. We had the push to the upside. Now we swept these highs over here. So after sweeping of these major highs, price tend to have a small kind of reaction. Maybe since we have all this liquidity over here, maybe we could expect a pullback, sweep all this liquidity, come into this demand over here, and then expect a continuation to the upside. So why am I expecting a continuation to the upside? Because we had this breakup structure over here. This was just a pullback. We swept the lows. Now we want to see a break above this level. So since we had this internal breakout structure, price pullback, another internal breakout structure, so I'm expecting that we could have one more pullback, sweep all these lows, and then we can see a continuation to the upside. We'll have another swing breakout structure and also a new internal breakout structure. So from the daily perspective, this is what I'm thinking. So looking at the H4, this was my swing breakout structure, internal breakout structure. Now you can see that this H4 demand is unmitigated. So we can see if price wants to push to the upside, this is the H4 demand which is unmitigated. We have inducement also below. So maybe if price come over here, we get a change of character on the H4. We know that price wants to push to the upside, so we can continue looking for longs. So if we have a break below this level, we can say that the pullback is starting and we can look for shorts maybe into this daily demand, or we could even say that price is coming to sweep all these lows below. So going into this week, this is what I'm thinking. So I won't be looking for long-term buys from this area. I think that we could have a pullback soon, and short-term longs we could have during this phase, but I would be looking for shorts because I'm expecting that in the coming week we could expect a pullback. So let's see on the H1. So looking at the recent price action on the H1, we had the break of structure over here, another break of structure over here. So we swept these lows, price pushed into this supply and it's kind of reacting to the downside. So maybe it could come down, and if this H4 demand fails to push price up, we can see it coming into this H1 supply and then continuing with the bearish momentum to the downside. So this is one scenario, or maybe it could just hold and push price to the upside for another leg up. So on the H1, this is what I'm thinking. So going into this week, I would be expecting a pullback and I would be more interested in shorts because we are at such kind of area where we could see a reaction soon. So let's see on gold. So gold also, just like EU, we can see that we had this bearish break of structure over here, a lot of consolidation, price finally pushed to the upside and it's coming into this daily supply. So as we are heading into this daily supply, I would be cautious looking for longs, because if you see, look at the premium versus discount, we are in the premium area, and if this bearish momentum wants to continue, this is a daily supply that needs to hold price so that we can continue with the bearish momentum to the downside. So we'll have something like this. So if that doesn't happen, this daily supply fails, price can just push to the upside. But you can see this daily supply is mitigated. This is the last supply that needs to hold to push price to the downside. We swept all this liquidity over here. So I think we could have one more push into the daily supply and then see rejection towards the downside. So let's see on the H4. So looking at the price action on the H4, we had this swing break of structure, the internal break of structure to the upside. Now as we are heading into this daily supply, this is a major supply where we could have a reaction. So if there is one more push, this is a fractal demand over here, maybe we can have one more push to the upside, or price could also come pull back into this H4 demand. From here, if we get a change of character, we can expect that price is going to the upside and look for longs into this daily supply. So as we enter into this daily supply, I would be more interested in shorts because I feel like we could have a reaction, a pullback of this huge bullish momentum over here, maybe to sweep these lows also. So I'm expecting a pullback. Now when it would start, that I don't know, but I would be cautious looking for longs over here. So we can still expect a short-term long. Maybe if price wants to come into this H4 demand and then push to the upside, we can look for longs over here. So from here, I would not be looking for longs. I would see how price is reacting from here. Are we going to be in a pullback phase? So this is the last internal structure. So if we get a break below this level, we know the pullback is happening and we can look for shorts. But until and unless this internal structure is holding, price is still bullish, price can push to the upside. So this is what I'm seeing on the H4. Let's see on the H1. So looking at the recent price action on the H1, we had this internal break of structure, we had another break of structure over here. So if this H1 demand is holding, we can expect a continuation of price to the upside, and if price breaks below this level, we know that the pullback is going to start and we can expect price coming into this H4 demand, and from here we can see price pushing to the upside if it wants to go to the upside. So if this level also fail, we can expect price coming into this daily demand. Now if this daily demand fail, we know we are going to have a major pullback. So how I would be approaching this is, if this H1 demand is holding, we'll have a change of character on the H1 indicating price is going to the upside. We can look for longs, and if this demand fails, we can play a pullback, short-term sells into this H4 demand or even into this daily demand over here. So this is what I'm thinking, and I would be more cautious coming into this area looking for longs. Maybe a long would be just the short-term move into this supply, and from here I would be interested more in shorts. So be cautious coming into this kind of major areas. You can see EU and GU and gold. So you can see that all three pairs in a major supply zone area. So this is what I'm thinking coming into the last week of August. All three pairs are in a major supply zone area. So I'm expecting a pullback. Price could also push to the upside. but I would be cautious looking for longs here, and I would be favoring shorts after a confirmation that price is pulling back. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and also stay tuned.